Imagine a world where we can do a single task with just a flick of a button. From self-moving carts to automatically moving children's toys, anything could be possible. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Faraday, and today I present to you the DC motor. The DC motor uses the concept of the magnetic field and the electric current to turn electrical energy into mechanical energy. The magnetic field is an invisible field produced by currents that can either attract or repel objects from one another. In this case, we're using the sides of the magnetic that attract one another. I used two dish-shaped magnets and then placed them across each other to form the magnetic field. The electric current is the flow of electrons. The flow of electrons will go through a copper wire and will come in contact with the magnetic field. This wire has a thin layer of insulation to keep the current from leaking out. I have configured the wire into a small coil so that the flow of electrons will go in both directions when placed between the two disc magnets. The coil is then connected to a DC battery which contains electrons that will flow through the wire. When the magnetic field B and the current I are perpendicular to one another, a new force F is formed and pushes down or up on the coil in order for the coil to spin and generate mechanical energy. F will always point in a direction perpendicular to the magnetic force from a side view. I use the left-hand rule to determine the direction of the new force. The thumb represents the new force F, which points up. The pointer finger represents the magnetic field, points straight. And the middle finger, which is perpendicular to the magnetic field, represents the current. Using this rule, anyone can predict the new direction of the force. When it is all set up and the battery is turned on, the flow of electrons will go through the wire and come across the magnetic field. With a little help, the coil should begin rotating. A new force, F perpendicular from the coil, is also acting on the force rotating it. F perpendicular equals F times cosine of the angle from the starting point. This rotation, however, only rotates the coil 1/4 of the way around. If the current and magnetic field force become parallel, or 90 degrees from the starting point, then F perp would be 0, and the generator will stop moving since the current and force stop acting on one another. If momentum brings the coil past 90 degrees, but less than 270 degrees, then the force and force perpendicular will revert in the opposite direction, opposing the motion and bringing the current parallel to the magnetic force, leading to the end of motion. In order for the coil to rotate 360 degrees, the current and magnetic force must be turned off in order to bring the coil past 270 degrees from the starting point. By removing insulin on one side completely off and half of the other side off, the coil is able to bypass the magnetic force and current interaction by stopping or turning off the flow of electrons for that moment of time. This causes F perf to point in the right direction, causing the coil to rotate 360 degrees. With this new technology, boats, carts can be powered without use of manual labor. This motor can change the world. Trust me.